Today we step into the book of Nahum. I'm Andrew Whaley. Nahum was written in the late 7th century at a time of a rise and falling of superpowers in the north and the impending demise of the city of Jerusalem. Nahum means comfort. These are words to be a comfort to the covenant people of God in the midst of very uncertain times. So Nahum is another oracle against the nations. We've heard several of these. The book anticipates God's vengeance and wrath against enemies to the great rejoicing of the people of Jerusalem. God will respond because of the arrogance of these other nations to live under the sovereignty of Yahweh. God will therefore act with military power to bring about their devastation, and Israel will experience a great release, great joy, and new well-being for their life together. The book is addressed to the kingdom of Assyria. And Assyria was known for using uncommonly harsh and cruel military practice. So you can imagine that Nahum's oracle would be a word of comfort to a people who are anticipating that kind of power coming to dominate them as well. It would be a release to know that they were being freed from that impending doom. The book can be divided into two sections. The first section is chapter 1, verse 1 through verse 8, where God's vengeance is described. But pay attention, God's vengeance is not arbitrary violence against an enemy. God's vengeance is an act of divine sovereignty against a disobedient, a recalcitrant nation. The second part of the book picks up at verse 9 and goes until the end of the book. And here we hear a description of the wrath that God will carry out against Nineveh. Now it's interesting, right? You just read Jonah not long ago. Jonah wanted this kind of wrath to be rained down upon Nineveh and the people of Assyria, just like Nahum does. But God acts differently in Jonah's story. Which leads us to this question. What does it mean when we read Nahum for the enemies of Israel to be equated as the enemies of God? Is that always the case? It also raises a question for us. In our own time, we live in a nation that is the dominant country in the world. So do you think there are Nahums out there in other lands who lift up these cries of concern about us? How might that call us to a different way of life, a different way of leading in the world?